I want to come back to something you said. Heroes, we have our heroes today dusting pianos. We're not calling them to do the kind of things that men want to do. And um, I was curious what you thought about this line of thinking, because it's sort of, you talk about men are born to heroism. There's a language of heroes that men will intuit, even if it's never trained or brought up to them. And then all it takes is one conversation, and all of a sudden something lights up. I'm curious where you go with this line of thinking. And it's the sense that men won, in a sense where we created a civilization. You talked about how civilization, a lot of men would prefer caves and what else did you say? Caves and fireplaces, but women love civilization. And we've now done something where we've won, and then we've sort of lost something at the same time. And this sort of ties back to one of the reasons why I want to chat with you,
The
because this,
the
how do we be
piano.
heroes in a culture that doesn't know what to do with heroism anymore? Everywhere now, almost everywhere, is very civilized. So we've kind of created a world where women can thrive and women can have opportunities. And a lot of modern culture, and I'm not putting anything down, plays to a lot of feminine skills that a lot of men don't have. And so it's fantastic that men have created this wonderful opportunity for all of our sisters to be able to step up and do absolutely incredible things. And now we're kind of standing on the sidelines wondering, well, what am I supposed to do here? Like you say, here's a left dusting the pianos. There are some men who can adapt and who can succeed and who can really thrive in ways that they never could in the past. And maybe they were the nerds and the geeks of yesteryear. But it's been the default if when we've been war-based societies, or frontiers where survival has, and because a lot of us really want to go back to that, and we make workshops and summer camps to sort of rediscover how to do that sort of thing, like at all. But then the rest of
Yeah.
us are just sort of, nobody calls us to a sense of heroism because nobody knows how it's needed. And so what would your thoughts or recommendations be if we're born with this language and our soul is called to this? And then we look around and the culture doesn't know or doesn't have anything for that, except here's another piano to dust. Um, as you looking at the outside at something like that, what
Huge,
goes through your mind?
huge question. Huge
Absolutely.
question. So many parts of the answer. Well, first, we have men dusting pianos because the dust on the piano is screaming at us.
Hmm.
With diffuse awareness, tracking everything that is out of place, everything that's ugly, things that got moved. Like, these are all very primitive instincts of walking into a meadow, expecting to find it the way it was yesterday, and then now there's a tree pushed over. Well, however that tree got pushed over is a threat to my life, right? Or somebody, that's moved. Who moved that? We have those reactions in our own environment. They're ancient. And so that's why we're like, for gosh sakes, could you just dust the piano? Because it won't stop yelling at me as I walk by. Now, my husband, amongst other things, was a musician who channeled music. And he had to have the piano open and the bench out so that when it hit him, he could literally slide in and start playing before that connection was lost. So, you know how hard that was for me? Because have all the dust that was now going to be on the piano keys as well. So that primitive part of myself, and we keep wanting, this is one of the mistakes that women make. We keep wanting men to help around the house, right? And men are wondering, like, why are they, what, I go to work and I help with the kids and I help around the house, and we're at this conflict of the difference between help and accountability. Help and accountability. And testosterone is the fuel of accountability. And accountability is inherently territorial. And so you can look at this as a warrior, right? As a warrior and a provider, you can look at this instinctually. But what I've seen, Dominic, is that this duality that everything that exists in human instinct, like accountability, also exists in human spirit. And they're this like these mirrors of each other, except for the quality is completely different. And for unfortunately, the expectation of women that is ruling right now is that a man is supposed to be like a woman, and you're supposed to be good at what we're good at. And we want a man who's as good as or better at what I'm good at. But we don't know, and this is arisen in the King's Code, in the first stuff that came through. I've known for a very long time, though both men and women have a reticular activator. They're searching or scanning or hunting for strength. We
Mhm.
are very perceptive of strength in different forms. And for example, like the character House MD, he was a scoundrel, but his integrity i- is perceived as such an extraordinary strength. He would do it, whatever he thought do whatever it took to do what was right. And he could be a total jerk, but man, that's so attractive, that strength. And so what women don't know, and this is what has men end up in such a pickle, is that m- when a man is filling any team. So any team, whether it's a two-man partnership or it's a corporation, it's a sport, it's what you're working on. You've been filling your team and you're part of the team that's getting filled for your purpose, and that you're searching for strength. And specifically, you're searching for complementary strength, right?
Right.
That's why your Robin Hood story is so valid. Robin Hood is looking for a strength that he didn't have, and he wasn't ashamed of not having it. And so when men are searching for mates, they're searching for women that they admire for their strengths that they see as complementary. And oh my gosh, I'll be so much more able to fulfill my purposes complemented by who she is. Unfortunately, not knowing that he's going to pick a woman that he admires for her strengths, and what he's going to need so badly is that she admires him for his strengths, which are different than hers. Not knowing that maybe for the next 30 years, she's going to make him wrong for how he's not strong like her. And he should be strong like her instead of, no, that's why he picked me. That's my part. And this is where, you know, Dominic, when I started studying men, it showed up for a very long time anthropologically, right?
Mhm.
Hunting and gathering, and how all these
Right.
ways that we are so critical to the survival of our species. And then it got to a point where it's just too beautiful. the the partnership possible between the complementary strengths of men and women is exquisite. Exquisite doesn't happen by evolution.
Mhm.
Exquisite, my gosh, there's just so much divinity in it. Who men and women have been meant to be for each other.
Mhm.
And ages ago, in between Keys to the Kingdom and the Queen's Code, I channeled a book in a different way. It was all a conversation, interestingly, in this part of my head, in
Mhm.
the voice of Morgan Freeman.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it started out with "Good day, Adam. Good day, Eve. Please sit down. We have a lot to do." And Adam going, "Who are you?" I Well, you can call me Sam. I'm from research and development, and and the creator has recently made an upgrade um, in 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 human beings, and so I'm here to tell you about it, so you can be congruent with this upgrade. And there's a point later in the book where Sam is like, why do you keep talking about design and created, and don't you know about evolution? And Sam's like, what's that? I'll look it up and get back to you. And then
Hmm.
he comes back to them and he's like, okay, so I checked out this thing you call evolution, and e- evolution and creation only appear to be in conflict if you don't understand creation. And anyone who is creative knows that it's a process of expressing and tweaking and tweaking and tweaking. And 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 God is the creator. And God tweaks. and, and he's like, and Adam's like, oh, that's just a mutation. Science has proven that a long time ago. And and Sam says, a fancy word for an effect does not make it a cause. All this is just happening. and, and then there's this one part where where they're talking about what Adam most needs from Eve and Eve most needs from Adam. And and he says to Eve, what Adam most needs from you is to tell him that he's done enough.
Wow. You
Which
know what comes to
later I
mind is have you seen the movie oh goodness. It's one of the last Marvel movies where Iron Man takes the killing blow and then his girlfriend Pepper Potts kneels down in front of him as he's dying and he's looking around, did we win? Did we win? She says, "It's okay. You can let go now. Everybody's safe." And then at that moment is when he rests and then he can die because he needed that reassurance exactly like you said.
I've seen that it's even expanded. I asked a man about a year ago, if you could hear one thing from women, what would it be? He said that I am enough. So it's I am enough. Do enough. And as long as women are expecting men to be sensitive to what they're sensitive to, a man will never have done enough. Because you would have done what you would have done and what I would have done to have done enough. And so back to your question about how do men get to be heroes now when what you've built is a civilization, and you're exactly right. What's natural to women couldn't blossom the way that it has if we didn't live in a condition where we weren't concerned about survival day to day. Because in a concern for survival, what men have got is going to rule. Every time, the physical strength, the single focus, the willingness to throw it all in, and if I die, so be it, at least for a good cause. All of that appears and is obvious in survival situations. And it might be why so many people, men and women, are called to serve in war in order to experience that intensity of what it's like to be human that way. But everything that men are translates into the problems we have today. And it's what I realized because I've been passionate about the end of hunger and poverty since I was little, since my mother said, clean your plate. There
Right.
are
Poor
babies
children in
dying
Africa
in.
and
Yeah,
yes.
well, that it was
Right.
isn't. Yeah, in the early '60s, that was in China. There's
Oh, I see.
babies dying in China. Yes, Africa
Okay.
came later, and but I've been passionate about it. And then as I saw the ways that how I was bringing out the worst in men, and you know this from the Queen's Code, all the ways that we are triggered to emasculate, to diminish men, to suck off their power, siphon it off, bring it down to what feels like a handy but not threatening level. And because we've forgotten that who you are, protectors and providers, and a very small percentage of men are bad. Um, and you guys are the best to recognize the bad ones. For the way one man put it, you can't tell the difference between a wolf and a sheepdog if all you're looking for is teeth. But the sheepdogs are the ones who can tell instantly, and if we only trusted you instead of argued with you. But it's this it's this thing of I saw that when I saw all the ways I was emasculating men, I was like, oh my gosh. And simultaneously learning what compulsive problem solvers you all are. Like one man said, a problem to a man is like a squirrel to a dog. Let me at it, let me at it, let me at it. And,
It's true.
later on, right? Later on, a complaint is a problem my wife won't let me solve. And the torture of that. And so you still are the same, and we need to give you better problems than how to get through the door with your manhood intact, than dusting the piano to loading the dishwasher correctly, right? It's clean, isn't it? So therefore it was correct. Yeah, if we produce the result, it's all about producing the result. And so it's like, oh my gosh, we're never going to solve the biggest stuff if we have you guys focused on just trying to stay intact while under attack from the people that you need to be nurtured by the most. And if you think about someone taking on something like the end of starvation, and then gathering together a bunch of people to take on the end of starvation, that's only something an empowered man's gonna do, right? That's something that someone does, getting to move from a win to a bigger game, to a win to a bigger game, and to a win to a bigger game. And you guys are plenty willing to fail in the middle and still go after the win. And so we need better problems, and we need to leave you guys in good shape to go after them, which means we also have to get beyond the idea that so many women have, that they want their husbands to make themselves their first priority. No, men's capacity is so much bigger than any purpose a single woman could put them to. Like, and if he does make you his highest priority, you'll think he's needy, and you'll lose respect for him, and you'll be like, oh, go outside, for God's sake.
Go chop wood. Alison, we're out of time, and I know that we don't have only a
Yes.
couple more minutes together here. So, gosh, I'd love to keep chatting with you. But I want to read a quote, probably just to go back to your book, where you have this line. I'm curious if there's anything else you'd like to leave us with, where you say, you cannot separate hero and man. They are one and the same. The soul of a man is a hero. Um,
Yeah.
with everything that you're now researching and thinking, any closing thoughts you'd like to leave with our audience of men who want to be good men, who are looking to build up brotherhoods, are looking to network and connect with each other, because we recognize men are stronger together, and brotherhood is something you don't fall into. It's something you have to actively cultivate and build up, like a shield wall.
Hmm.
Man alone
Yes.
on a battlefield does not survive.
Yes.
And so as you're looking maybe at the outside and you're looking at this and you're studying all of this, the fact that you can't separate these things, like I've also never considered it, like you said, the ever-present awareness of death as an outcome for every bad decision. It's just always driving you. I never paid attention to it till you
Yeah.
pointed that out. So yeah, any
Yeah.
closing thoughts maybe
Um,
to leave with us?
and so I'm going to leave you with this part. I didn't understand why men would say, I'm only human. Like, before I began all this and learning about men, I heard it like a poor excuse for bad behavior. I'm only human. And then as I got deeper and deeper into this and created our first course for men with 2 other men, and they said, "Allison, we have to provide something to account for shame and restoring men from shame." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Which was the beginning of finding out how much shame men experience when someone is harmed from a failure that they think is their own. And when I've inquired into those failures, discovered that I'm only human it's not an excuse. It's a sad admission on a man's part because he holds himself to God-like standards, to be omnipotent, omnipresent, right? All knowing, all everything. The standard you all hold yourself to is extraordinary, and part of the brotherhood that men need is to find out that all men are holding themselves to that standard. All men experience shame from failing, and that shame is actually the biggest indicator of an honorable man. It doesn't mean you're dishonorable that you experience
Wow.
shame. It means you are honorable. And this is one of the things that I love about Catholicism, by the way, because a man could every day, given his standards, need to confess and be forgiven and to be restored to get up the next day and go at it again. And so that practice that you talk about, your tenet in the morning to connect, a practice of owning, yes, I failed at this. I own that. I won't justify it. I own it. And I forgive myself. And Jesus already forgave me for everything. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm stopped there.